Okay, so this is a 2 kilobytes JavaScript library. I mean, right now I don't care about what this GitHub repo does, but let's say that I clone this repo. So I'm getting the URL and I'm going over to my um, desktop and cloning this repo. Now, the thing I'm trying to show here is that for some reason, instead of cloning a repository that I have access to, I'm cloning a repository that I don't have permissions. Okay, so I can copy it, but I cannot push, I cannot upload because nobody gave me permissions to this repository. I have only read access. So I will go to this GitHub and change something. So let's say I will open the code, the README markdown. I will delete everything, and then I will say git status. I modified the README, so git add and git commit. Bam. So I added and committed these changes, and I'm ready to push origin. I think I am in dev. And as you can see, I get this error, permission to IAM-can-day.js denied to Costas X, could not read from report repository. This is a message, something similar happened to Alkis. So this means that I'm trying to push, I'm trying to upload to a GitHub repository that I have not access. I do not have the correct access rights. So this is what this message says, and we have to learn to decode the error messages. And let's say that for some reason, I'm not sure about the permissions or whether I have permissions or whether I'm on my forked repository or somebody else. A good tip that I can use is to run the command git config and dash list. So this command will give me a lot of information about this Git repository. So I'm going to write this command on the thread here. So on the Slack. So git config list. And I get all sorts of like information, for example, the username, the email, as you can see. And the thing that right now is of importance to me is this remote origin URL. So in this line, I can see what is the remote repository, and I can see that the owner of this repository is IAM-can and not Costas X, which is my GitHub username. So from this line, I can see that I'm not the owner of this repository. So for some reason, I wanted to work on the, let's say, like a forked version or my own version. So I would expect something like this. This means that I am the owner and I can push, but for some reason I copied and pasted the wrong GitHub URL or did something, I don't know, along the way, and I lost track of the remote repository. And in order to do that, in order to change this remote repository URL, first of all, I must have my own copy, or at least a repository that I want to connect, a remote repository that I want to connect with GitHub. So let's say that I want to get the correct remote URL and change it. I will have to go to Google and say git how to update remote URL because I never remember this command. So I have to check how to change a remote URL. There's the GitHub doc has the command for all the operating systems, which is the same. And it has two really useful commands, the git remote set URL, which allows me to update the remote URL. So I will connect it to a different GitHub repo. And this command, which displays also the remote repository. So I will copy this command and I will run it. So as you can see, this is the repository that have both push and I can push and fetch, but I want a different repository. So in order to update that, I'll use this command and I will say, first of all, I will have to create a repository, fork this repository or create a different one. And of course, change the URL. And I'm not sure this is going to work. Git remote set URL. I think this, I just have to use this or add URL. I'm doing something wrong here. So let's go back. Git, we need to add the origin. Sorry, that's my mistake. I need to add origin. So this gets me into trouble. So the remote, as you remember, origin is the remote repository. I will change it to this repository, and then just to double check, I will see with the git remote v that I have updated the repository. But right now, if I try to push, I will get an error because such a repository does not exist. So I will first, of course, have to create it. So these commands, let me place them here. URL and git remote v. So we use these commands yesterday to debug an error that Alkis had. So I thought it's really important to know about these commands and know how to use them and debug this kind of errors. So I'm going to delete this folder. This is one of the most dangerous commands in command line because it removes everything inside the folder. If for some reason I type something wrong here, it's possible that I can erase all my hard drive. So be careful on how you use this command.